Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's going on? We'll get started shortly. Y'all already know. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Today, we are going to talk about why, if you do not understand and learn this one concept, you will continuously stay on the money hamster wheel. You will continue to stay on the money hamster wheel. I'm looking at two screens. I got Instagram up. What up, IG? I got Facebook. I got YouTube. I got LinkedIn. We got LA in the house. What up, LA? We got B More in the house. Yo, I ain't been to Baltimore in a minute. Y'all let me know where y'all chiming in from. Make sure you taking some notes. Appreciate the badges, B. Thank you, man. Shout out to Brian Shaw. I'm so proud of him. Always love seeing him step his game up. Love seeing him sharpening his axe. Extremely coachable, and the results are showing. What up, Tony? We got Vegas in the house. We got North Carolina. We got Miami. We got New York. New York is always in the building. All right, y'all keep coming in. Y'all let me know where you chiming in from. I don't care if it's 3 people on here. Shout out to Katina Street, my mentee. She said, Will, can you start back going live, please? I don't care if it's only 2 people on there. I said, I'll see what I can do, Katina. Thank you. Somebody said they like my shirt. Appreciate that. We got Texas in the building. Texas is always in the building. Maryland. Of course, Milwaukee has to be here. That's my hometown. Shout out to the 414. I should be back in Milwaukee pretty soon. Mississippi. Shout out to everybody in the SIP. A lot of people may not know I actually graduated high school in Mississippi. I used to live in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Try saying that 3 times fast. Shout out to Mississippi. Shout out to Jackson, Mississippi. Arizona is in the house. The internet is boring without you, Coach. Man, I appreciate that, B. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Look, so I don't have a lot of time, okay? Definitely need to hear the truth that always provided to us. I appreciate that. Thank you, Holly. So the reason I came on today is because, look, I need you to register for my free webinar tomorrow. You can go in my comments and type the word invest, and you'll get the link. If you're listening to me on YouTube or Facebook, run over to my Instagram and go follow me. Or you can go to getmyfirstproperty.com. Getmyfirstproperty.com. Let me put that in the getmyfirstproperty.com. Who would like to get their first property? Their first investment property? Somebody drop that in the chat for me on Instagram so I could pin it. Getmyfirstproperty.com. I need you to go there and register for my free webinar tomorrow, because here's the thing. Thank you, Holly. Let me pin this real quick. Thank you. I need us to understand that this is going to be a huge shift economically for 2026. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I ended my 2025 with a bang. Still 7-figure status. Cause see, that's the thing. When you own real estate, and when you have 7 figures in real estate assets or 8 figures in real estate, like, you don't start from zero again. See, for all my entrepreneurs, however much money you made last year, January 1st, you started from zero again. You got to go out there, do more ads, get more clever. Like, and now to be on social media, you got to throw away all your inhibitions. You got to perform tricks now. You got to know how to act. You got to let people slam a pie in your face. You got to know how to do the splits as a man. Like, to get attention on social media, you got to be a circus. I'm not built for that. Sister Soul Sessions, what's going on? How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all inviting me on your show recently. So thank you. We got to do that again. Shout out to all of my real estate investors, because if you have $250,000 in real estate assets, you are $250,000 millionaire in January. You don't got to start over. If you have $500,000 in real estate assets, you are $500,000 millionaire. You don't got to start over. If you are a 7-figure asset holder in real estate, you don't start from zero. Today, I'm going to show you one simple mistake that is possibly keeping you from getting to that next level. I'm going to show you one simple mistake. But before we get there, so make sure y'all stay locked in, and I'm not going to be on here very long, but here's something I want to share with you. And it's something that I've been learning a lot of as of late. If you do not know how to make decisions, you will never make it in life. Let me say that again. If you do not know how to make decisions, you will never make it. Your inability to make decisions is slowing your progress down. And the thing that why it's so hard is because, and right now we're going to talk solely just from a business standpoint. It's because you make decisions emotionally. You make emotional decisions. But here's the kicker. You only make emotional decisions when it comes to choosing you. You only make emotional decisions when you got to put you first. Anybody who I text Happy New Year, I tell them, make this year personal. Make this year about you. Be selfish in 2026. Quit trying to save everybody. You're trying to save people and you're drowning. You're trying to save people and the water is up to here. And you know, a lot of you don't know how to swim. You're drowning financially. You're drowning emotionally. You're drowning physically. You're drowning in every possible way. And yet you still trying to save people. No, make this year personal. But in order to do that, you have to learn how to make decisions. You have to remove the emotion from your decisions. But here's what's so interesting. You never make it emotional when it comes time to having fun with your money. Ever. You don't make it's mind blowing how the emotions can go out the window when it comes time to having fun with your money. Here's what I mean. How is it that you can use Klarna to buy concert tickets, but won't use Klarna to get your first investment property? And I'm just using this as an example. You'll use Afterpay to get the Gamma 11s, but won't use Afterpay to get your first investment property. Look, if I had to do an Afterpay to set up my LLC, if I had to do an Afterpay to get that first consulting call, if I had to do Afterpay, they didn't have this stuff when I was around. I will always bet on me to make things go right. Somebody type in the chat, I'm going to always make it go right. What up, Nate? Shout out to my brother Nate Woods, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Nate, man, hey, we used to run it back in the day, Nate. Let them know. This energy isn't just post-pandemic. We've been running like this, Nate. Let them know over there in Facebook world. It baffles me that we make everything about we get emotional when it comes to us. People get emotional about going to the gym, but won't get emotional about overeating. Here's some hard truth reality, okay? Here's some hardcore facts. And the thing is that a lot of people don't like when something is right. But we got to make it go right. So check this out. Check this out. This is something that I actually learned over the past several years. So I remember when I first started going to the gym seriously in like 2016, 2017, I never got results. Let me say that again. When I first started going to the gym, I never got results. And the reason I never got results is because I didn't know my number. Even though I was in the gym like 4 days a week. I'm like, how am I going to the gym 4 days a week, but I had to punch another hole in my belt? Well, excuse me. I had to loosen my belt, not punch another hole. I had to buy a bigger size shirt. And the thing is like, you never know you're gaining weight until somebody else points it out, because you just start buying bigger clothes. And it wasn't until I made a serious investment into truly understanding how to get a result that I was looking for. And so I invested into a real coach that had real results in the fitness space. And the first lesson that I learned, he said, Will, the only way you're going to lose weight is calories in and calories out. I don't care how long you're on the treadmill. I don't care how much weights you lift. I don't care how long you're on the Stairmaster. If you will not lose weight unless you understand calories in, calories out. And the only way that is going to work is you have to be in a caloric deficit. Meaning, if your caloric maintenance, if your maintenance for your calories is 2,000 calories, you have to be at 1,500. And so from that standpoint, I knew I had to know my number. Somebody type in the chat, know my number. I had to know my number. I never knew my number when I was trying to lose weight. I thought just because I didn't get a double cheeseburger, I just got a single cheeseburger, that I was fine. But I didn't know the numbers of everything that I was eating on just the regular cheeseburger. I didn't know that the ketchup had 200 calories. I didn't know that. And so once I started to understand that, I translated that exact same thing into this world. I did not start to achieve any level of success monetarily or financially until I knew my number. And so from that, the thing that I see is the common pattern why so many people are failing on their path is because this one common mistake: they don't make mathematical decisions. And so the reason it is so hard to make decisions financially is because most people don't know the math behind it. Numbers don't lie. We get too tied to the emotion of the decision as opposed to the math. How is it that you scream ROI, but you don't even know how to calculate it? How is it that you call yourself an investor and you've yet to make an investment? How is it that you got real estate investor in your bio and you haven't invested in anything except sneakers? And you ain't sold them yet. You too emotionally tied to the cool gray 11s. You buying all these Jordans and you too emotionally tied to sell it anyway. And so until you understand math, nothing will make sense or sense, as my brother Beyond Win says, because you're always going to have an emotional attachment. But you never have an emotional attachment when it comes time to having fun. Let me prove it to you. I get people who call me and say, Will, I'm scared to buy real estate because of the interest rates. And then I hit them back where I say, didn't you just buy a car? Let me say that again. People will complain about the interest rates of real estate, but will buy a new car. Here's why that's alarming. for me, it's hard for me to want to buy another car because when I was buying vehicles, interest rates were 3% on vehicles. Now it's 6%. A lot of you who are buying cars, not saying you on the lives, but people are going out there buying cars at 12, 15, 16, 19, 22, 29% interest. But yet they're complaining about the interest rate on the property. Your step up is clean. Will, looking forward to joining your program. Appreciate that. Thank you. Your setup. Thank you. Y'all don't mind me. I can't read the screen sometimes. People will complain about the interest of money, but will go and spend money on a brand new car that they can't afford. They'll go spend money going to Los Cabos on that credit card they can't afford. We're going to break down some basic mathematical equations, and you're going to hold a mirror up and figure, and you're going to quickly see why you're still stuck. And then I'm going to give you 3 points to prove to you, or 3 points to help you to get out of your situation. Okay? People are still waiting on COVID interest rates. That'll never happen again. It'll never happen again unless something catastrophic happens. And all you got to do is just follow what's going on economically. All right. So check this out. Check this out. I want you to write this down. Okay? I want somebody to write this down. If you don't know how much you make, you're going to always lose. If you don't know how much you make, you're going to always lose. Here's what I mean. Okay? Again, write this down because I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to look in the mirror at your own evaluation. Okay? For every dollar you make, 30 cents goes to taxes. 30 cents. So you're only operating at 70% income at minimum. You're only operating at 70% of your income every single time. Mathematically, you can't compete with people like me and Brian and Katina. You can't, because you're operating at 70% of your income. Number 2, 64% of your income is tied to your expenses. 64% of your income is tied to your expenses. So now, if 94%, if 94% of your income is locked up and you only got 6%, how can you compete? Because this other 6% of your income, you're using that to have fun. You want the soft life. You want to go to concerts. You want to go to dinners. You want to go to you want to take trips. You want to buy Christmas gifts. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that if 6% of your income is only used, if you only have access to 6% of your income, how can you grow financially? Okay? Because then here's what happens. You're swiping that card for that trip. You're swiping that card for dinner. You're swiping that card for the Gamma 11s. You're swiping that card for that purse. You're swiping that card for all of the things. So your expenses are increasing, but you still only have 6% of your income left for having fun. And so then you go out there, you try to make more money, but you're still being taxed. And now, with over 60 million people getting ready to potentially be garnished from student loan wage garnishment, going to make more income, that just means you're going to get taxed on more income, because they're going to be able to tax up to 15% of your income. So again, let's look at this from a mathematical standpoint. If 30% of your income is taxed right off the bat, 64% of your income is tied to your expenses, If you're about to get your wages garnished, 15% of your income is going to be garnished for your student loan default. What room do you have to grow? Can somebody answer that for me? I'm asking for a friend. Can somebody answer that question for me? See, we have to start learning how to play the game that they are convincing you. They're doing a really good job at convincing y'all how to be scared. I've never been to the mall and heard somebody say, I'm scared to buy this Gucci purse. What if they cut my hours? Check this out, y'all. Check this out. And pardon my voice. Check this out. I remember one of the last times I went to Dre's, and I'm embarrassed to say this. Not embarrassed in a bad way, but I can't believe I spent this much on liquor. I remember one of the last times I went to Dre's. It's packed. Arm to arm. I felt sorry for anybody who was in general population. As people are buying liquor, I never heard anybody say, I'm scared to buy this bottle of Casamigos, which shame on you if you still drink Casamigos. I didn't hear anybody say, if I buy this bottle of Casamigos, I'm scared of what's going to happen to the economy. I didn't hear, as somebody was buying shots in 1942, I didn't hear anybody say, if I buy this bottle of 1942 for $2,700, I don't know what's going to happen to the economy. But yet, when it comes time to investing, we're saying, oh, what about the economy? Even though the economy is, the indicators are pointing at all of the reasons, all of the data on why you should be investing. But I understand why. Sean, what up, fam? Why you're scared? Because they've done a very good job of convincing you to be scared. They've done a very good job. They've done a really good job at convincing you that you should continue to have fun with your money. Even though you're being taxed, you're about to be garnished, you got to pay taxes. They've done a really good job of scaring you so that you're never prepared, whether interest rates is 2% or 12%. You wasn't ready at 2%. They did a really good job at convincing you that you should go and get credit and go and run it up just so you can travel for free. They didn't teach you how to make money with your credit. They told you to get credit just so you can get some free flights. But then but then you're scared to use credit to go and invest it to make something so you can actually really for real travel for free. Boy, you talking about the spells that they've casted on the American people. That should be the greatest nightmare. Instead of Nightmare on Elm Street, they need to make a movie called Nightmare in America. The greatest scary story of America. And that is convincing you to go and spend all your money to have fun because you work so hard. So that's what you deserve. Boy, look, let me get to these points real quick. See, until you understand that you will have to make decisions mathematically, you will always fail. I'm not going to sugarcoat it right now, okay? Until you understand that as long as you make emotional decisions like, when my realtor sent me a deal, I don't have to think about it for 3 weeks. A good deal won't even last 3 hours. Let me get to my first point. Point number one, and somebody could type this in the chat for me, please, if you don't mind. Point number one, Money problems are math problems. If you got money problems, and I'm not saying this for everybody because I understand some people are genuinely going through some catastrophic things financially, but for a lot of people, it's a math problem. I'll give you an example. Okay. Now let me know if I was the only one that ever did this. Okay. Let me know if I was the only one that ever did this. I remember when I was in corporate America, okay, and I was working for Yellow Pages, all right, and my base income was $30,000, and of course I got commissions. My top line income usually got to about $103,000. This is what I used to do. Okay, let's just say that on average I made like $60,000. We'll say on average, I would literally sit there with a piece of paper and subtract my expenses from $60,000. All right, my rent was this much, my car note was this much, my utility bill, my cell phone bill, my this, my that. And here's the thing with that. Mathematically, I was always going to be wrong. If I'm subtracting all of my expenses from 60,000, who can tell me why mathematically I was always going to be wrong? Why was I always mathematically going to be wrong? If my job said I made 60,000, but I'm subtracting my expenses from the 60, why was I mathematically always going to be wrong? The reason I was always going to, and if you're just joining, I'm looking at two different screens. I got Instagram here and I got Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. I was always going to be mathematically wrong because I didn't account for taxes. I didn't account for federal tax. If you live in a state where state tax, I didn't account for state taxes. I didn't account for my medical expenses. I didn't account for my 401k if I was contributing to that. So 35% of my paycheck is gone. It's gone. So mathematically, I was always going to make bad decisions. SSI. If you were like me, at one point I had a wage garnishment in 2008. I was getting my wages garnished. Like, I was always going to be mathematically off. So how can I compete economically if I'm mathematically off? See, income without math is lifestyle inflation. Income without math is lifestyle inflation. You're going to always inflate your lifestyle because you're always going to think you have more money than you truly have. So when you get that extra check, there's extra expenses, extra taxes. When you get that bonus, you still got taxes. When you get that bonus at the end of the year, that's not extra money because you still got debt. You still got student loans. You still got a car note. You still got things that you probably haven't paid. See, if your cash flow is negative, it doesn't matter how hard you work. That's why often 2 jobs doesn't get you ahead. Now, it can help you chop down some debt, but 2 jobs usually, meaning you working 2 jobs, it usually doesn't get you ahead any faster, especially without a plan. So if your finances are in a disarray, go look at the math. One of my inner circle clients, when we met, I had him do I gave him a homework assignment. Let me tell you what I gave him. This one's on the house, y'all. I said, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go and pull your bank statements. Don't try to memorize this. Go pull your bank statements. Upload your bank statements in ChatGPT. And I want you to go pull your last 12 months of your bank statements. Go pull your last 12 months and ask ChatGPT, break down my expenses versus what was deposited. And it's going to break down your debits and credits. That's finance talk, debits and credits. So go download 12 months of your payments. 12 months of your bank statements. Upload all 12 into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, break down my monthly deposits versus my expenses over the past 12 months, and let me know what my net income is. And some of you will be grossly disgusted. Some of you are going to look at that and figure out how you're even surviving. Some of you are going to look at that and you're going to be in denial. Because here's the thing I can promise you. A lot of people think they make more money than they truly make. This is why people get excited when they get an extra $300 on a paycheck. But they not excited to make an extra $300 from real estate. Somebody make that make sense for me. Somebody help me make that make sense. Let your job overpay you by $275. You going to FanDuel. Let somebody get an extra $300 on their paycheck. It's going to DraftKings. Put it on Luka not playing defense. That's the only way you're going to win at DraftKings. Look, I don't sports bet. But if you want to make some money sports betting, bet Luka not going to play defense. Okay? Bet Luka under 1 steal. You'll win every time. If you are having financial problems, it is because you have a mathematical error in your income. So I'm going to give you a free strategy. Upload your last 12-month bank statements and ask ChatGPT to break down your deposits versus your withdrawals. Deposits versus withdrawals, and tell them to let you know what your average monthly expenses are and your average monthly net deposits. And some of you will be grossly disgusted that you're going to see that you don't have as much money as you think you have. So problem number 1 that we are going to solve for you in 2026 is that your money problems are usually a mathematical problem. Your money problems are usually a mathematical error. So we're going to solve that. Somebody type in the chat. We're going to solve that this year. Somebody type in the chat. We're going to solve that this year. I don't want you to go into 2026 with the same mathematical problems. Okay? All right. Point number 2. If this is helping anybody, somebody type number 1 in the chat for me. If this is helpful for anybody so far, type number 1 in the chat for me. All right. Number 2. Why high income people still struggle. Why high income people still struggle. Listen, and I'm willing to put money on this. The most dangerous income bracket are people who make $70,000 to $200,000. That's a dangerous income bracket. And this is where lifestyle inflation tends to happen the most. When people increase their income, they increase their expenses. When I was working at Yellow Pages, I could always tell when people started making more money. They always got a bigger car. They always increased their living expenses. I was speaking with one of my good friends who played sports professionally. And he said, Will, do you know why a lot of athletes go broke? And I said, I would like to think I do, but I would like to hear it directly from the source. He said, Will, the reason a lot of athletes go broke and he said, I've been listening to your live, so I'm going to use your language, is because of basic math. Imagine making X amount of dollars while you're playing and your expenses are $40,000 a month. When you retire, your expenses are still $40,000 are still $40,000 a month. So mathematically, it doesn't align. This is how athletes go broke. This is how regular folks go broke. But instead, they do it in the reverse. You graduate from college, you have an entry-level management position, so you're making $40,000 a year. So you might start off driving a Honda, you might start off driving a Camry. No, nothing wrong with those vehicles. My first paid vehicle that I bought was a Toyota Corolla, where I had to roll down the windows mechanically. Can you imagine being on a date and I'm reaching across, like, excuse me, but anyway. So, and as soon as I started making more money, I went and got a Toyota Camry. So I went from let me tell y'all how my vehicle increase went. So my very, very first vehicle, my dad bought me a Pontiac Grand Prix. When I turned 18, he bought me a Pontiac Grand Prix. I always say it was my favorite car, even though that car gave me the most issues. But my dad bought it for me, so I was always grateful for it. The struts went out, so when I would drive, you would hear it squeak and bounce and all of that stuff. So then that car eventually had to be totaled, and then I went and bought me a Buick Skylark. I had a Buick Skylark. That car, actually, I was making a U-turn, and the car just stopped working. And I just so happened to be across the street from a Toyota dealership. So in 1998, I pushed that car into the Toyota dealership lot, and I drove off the lot with a brand new Toyota Corolla. It was like a sandy color Toyota. It was the only thing that my credit would afford me to get. So I got a Toyota Corolla. I leased it. And so then from there, I got a job paying me more money. I'm making about $40,000 a year. I'm 19 years old. And then I traded that car in for I upgraded it to a Toyota Camry, brand new, black on black, had the windows tinted. Then I went from $40,000 to $45,000, and then I bought a Chevy Tahoe. A lot of people back home in Milwaukee knew me as the Tahoe guy. I had a Chevy Tahoe. It was white, had the peanut butter guts, had a CD disc changer in the back. Never put rims on it though. And so every time I spent more money, every time I made more money, I upgraded my vehicle. And then in 2003, I get laid off. But guess what? I still got the Tahoe. And then guess what happened? I could never find another job that was paying me at the same amount I was making when I was working at that company. But my expenses didn't change. That's how a lot of you all, when I say you all, not necessarily saying you on the live, but this is how the average American lives. They make more money. They just keep buying a more expensive car because you gotta wear your wealth. You gotta let people know that you can afford a Mercedes now. You gotta let people know you can afford a Cadillac. You gotta let people know you can afford the Tesla. High income people still struggle because as their income increases, so does their expenses. Somebody type that in the chat. As people income increases, so do their expenses. And then when their income decreases, their expenses are still where it's at. This is why it's hard for a lot of people to qualify to buy a house. They squander their income buying stuff. The need to tell yourself you deserve a new car is going to be the reason why you stay poor. I deserve that. I worked so hard. You've been working 2 years. You've been unemployed for 6. You ain't worked that hard yet. The reason why people who make good income still struggle, even the dual income households, you're making $175,000 a year. You got 2 nice vehicles. You take 3 trips a year. The wife got the purses. The husband got the belts and the shoes. You put your kid in Target shoe. That really grinds my gears. Hold on, let me get on my soapbox. Y'all want to know what grinds my gears? When I see the parent or the parents in nice clothing and their kids look like bums. That really grinds my gears. If you are wearing Jordans, Balenciagas, and Gucci's, and you got your kids, I don't even know the brands, like, because when I was growing up, we had Payless shoes. Payless not around it. But when I see that when people put their kids and they just look dusty, but yet you all dolled up and GQ'd up, that grinds my gears. Anyways, but when people continue to increase their expenses because their income increases, that's why you're struggling. Even though you got a dual income household, you're making $175,000, but you ain't got nothing. You at the family reunion bragging about how much you and Bay make, but you and Bay ain't got nothing. Y'all in the car, y'all in the ride home arguing about the light bill. Clarence, I told you to pay the light. Well, you want to take this trip. You wanted to rent the fancy car when we get to Tuscaloosa, Mississippi. You want to stay at the Hilton. The reason why people with high income still struggle is because they increase their expenses. They increase their expenses. See, when I used to be that person too. I couldn't wait to get an extra check so I can go spend it. Look, when I was uninformed, I spent every spare dollar I had. I spent everything. See, debt isn't the enemy. Bad math is. Somebody type that in the chat. Debt is not the enemy. It's your ability being bad at math. You got debt now. How you scared of it? Let me say this, and I mean this in the most respectful way. How are you bragging about buying a new car and you have no assets to pay for that? I would be, before I got financially saved, I would be ashamed to flex that I got a new vehicle and my income didn't increase. I would be embarrassed. Let me move on. Debt is not the problem. You being bad at math is. All right, point number 3. Let me get through this one quickly. Point number 3. This one might hurt. Brian said, we've all been there at some point. Definitely. Interest is either working against you or it's working for you. Interest is usually working for you or against you. It's no in between. Most people only understand interest emotionally, not mathematically. Most people only understand interest, emotionally, not mathematically. I'll give you an example. When you truly understand that, and I know a lot of people won't get this because the powers that be done a good job like putting you under a spell. But for the 3 people, maybe 1.5 that get this, you're going to get it. Did you know that you can live a cheaper life off of debt? When you understand how to play the game, this is not for the novice. Okay? This part is not for the novice. This is what I teach my VIP clients. I teach them how to play this game. Okay? Let's just, again, remove your emotions. Let's break this down from a mathematical standpoint. Okay? So now, imagine being able to borrow $100,000 from your real estate portfolio. Okay? Again, we're going to break this down mathematically. Imagine being able to borrow $100,000 from your real estate portfolio mathematically. Okay? I know you can't see this. That $100,000 at a 30-year term at a 7% interest rate is going to cost you $700 a month. Okay? It's going to cost you $700 a month. How much is $100,000 at 30 years at 7% going to cost you? $700 a month. Now, think about how much your monthly expenses are right now. Think about how much your monthly expenses are right now. Some of you is $3,000 a month. Some of you it's $5,000 a month. Some of you it's $2,000 a month. Some of you it's $7,000 a month. Okay? Now imagine this. Imagine this. Imagine you borrow $100,000 from your real estate portfolio. You have way more than that, but we're just going to take $100,000 to make this simple. You take that $100,000 and you pay off as much of your consumer debt as possible. So you're going to pay off your car, you're going to pay off your credit card debt, some personal loans. So let's say you have $60,000 of debt. And then the other $40,000, you're going to pay your rent or mortgage up for the next 2 years. Okay? Let me say that again. You're going to take $100,000. Let's say your monthly expenses is $4,000 a month. Let's say your monthly expenses is $4,000 a month. You're going to take the $100,000 from the property. You're going to pay off $60,000 of your consumer debt. And then the other $40,000, you're going to pay your rent or mortgage for 2 years. How much does it cost you per month now to live? We're not going to include like gas and utilities. We're only going to include fixed expenses. So we're going to pay off all your fixed expenses over $100,000. You're going to take $60,000, pay off all your consumer debt, your auto loan, credit cards, personal loan, all of the dumb stuff you went and bought. And then the other $40,000, you're going to use that to pay your rent or mortgage for 2 years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, your expenses just went from $4,000 a month to $700 a month. So the income you're making will stretch further now. And the $700, you're not even paying that. The rental properties are. We have to learn how to play this game, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I get excited. Last month, and I'm gonna put up the post after I get off this live. I pulled over $340,000 from my rental portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, I borrowed that from a rental portfolio that I only paid $180,000 for. I've documented this entire journey. So I bought 4 properties in 2021, paid $180,000. They were a short sale. Caught somebody who got stuck in a bad position because of some bad math. I paid $180 for it. The property's appraised for over $760,000. I borrowed $340,000. Tax free. Tax free. Tax free. I'm gonna post it. You'll see I'm gonna show y'all the wire transfers. Tax free. So now, until you learn how to play this game, life will always be expensive. Life will always be expensive until you learn how to play this game. So now, imagine you borrow $100,000 from your property. This is why I want to teach you how to get your first property in the next 60 days. Because the sooner you learn how to play this game, the sooner you will be able to play the game. Your expenses just went from $4,000 a month to $700 a month, and it doesn't even cost you the $700. You can still make your money from your job, your business. The tenants are going to pay the $700. So now everything you make can go back into investing, or that's how you can really afford that car. That's how you can really afford them trips. That's how you can afford to take your wife on trips. That's how you can afford to take your husband on dinner dates. That's how you can afford to buy your kids some real clothes. How your kids looking bummy, but you dressed up. The best outfit they buying their kids is for Halloween. How your kid Halloween outfit look better than a regular school clothes? We got to do better. Until we learn this strategy, you will always be in a financial money hamster wheel. The reason people's finances are messed up is because they don't understand basic math. And it's really simple. Ladies and gentlemen, go to getmyfirstproperty.com, register. I'm hosting a free webinar tomorrow. You're going to want to be there. If you thought this was some heat, y'all ain't seen nothing, y'all. And this is the thing I often have to tell people. How many more signs do you need to see? How many more times you going to keep losing in life? How many more hustle plays you going to keep investing in? Look, I just read something yesterday that I got so excited. Or as my grandmother used to say, I was tickled. People still say that, Daniel? They don't say tickled no more? You got to say pause when I say tickled? All right, pause. Daniel said I got to say pause because I said tickled. You think my grandmother would have said pause if she said if my grandma would have said, I'm just tickled pink, I would have said, Grandma, hey, yo, pause. Okay. Anyway, here's something that I read that just blew me away. Dang, I can't say nothing nowadays. Hey, yo. All right, here's something that I got excited about. There's 1.9 million sellers in when it comes to housing. There's only 1.4 million buyers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to be so many properties for sale. You better get your money up. Daytone. Daytone said pause. I'm gonna have to. I would have had to tell Grandma, pause. Hey, yo. Look, y'all. I'm really trying. Look, I don't want to be the only one in first class. I don't want to be the only one in Dre's. You know, Dre's not open no more, but I don't want to be the only one that makes the bartender get the ladder to get my tequila. I don't want to be I want all of us there. But until we learn how to play the game from a mathematical equation, life is going to get tougher. Life is going to get tougher. There's nothing you're going to be able to invest in that's going to help you flip your money real quick. You got to play the long-term game. Even though I watch my stocks and crypto account every day, I get a notification every 7 minutes. I'm thinking XRP done shot to $25 when I get that alert. Still at $2.39. Every day when I get that notification to check my crypto wallet, I'm thinking XRP at $27. No, it's still at $2.39. Now it's $2.24. See, now I'm mad. But the one thing I do know, every single year, my rental portfolio is increasing. Every single year, my equity is increasing. Every single year, the rents are increasing. Every single year, my tax liability is decreasing. Every single year, I get to pay less in taxes even though I make more money. Every single year, if you have $1 million plus or you have a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, every year you're still a millionaire. Because you start to understand basic math. So I need you to go to getmyfirstproperty.com and join my webinar tomorrow. It's free. It costs you nothing. It costs you literally nothing. And if you don't want to join, that's okay, because you'll continue to have nothing. It's more houses for us. It's 1.9 million people trying to sell their houses. Man, look. And all I got to do is keep going to the bank and getting the money to buy it? You mean I don't have to work 7 years? They said it takes an average of 7 years to save for a down payment. You mean I don't gotta work for 7 years, Daniel, to get my next investment? All I gotta literally do is go to the bank. Man, make a fun. Look, we live in some of the best times to be alive right now. I don't even know. Look, even when I'm having a bad day, I have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say that again. Even when I'm having a bad day, and a bad day for me is like, what's a bad day for me? When it's raining outside. I hate the rain. When it's cold. A bad day for Will Roundtree is below 40. No, below 60. No, below 70. I wear a hoodie in 70 degrees in Vegas. That's a bad day for me. So go to getmyfirstproperty.com. Hosting a free webinar tomorrow at, I believe it's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just make sure that you come. And I want you to bring all your questions. I want you to challenge me. I always tell people, prove me wrong. If somebody can prove me wrong, on with my blueprint, I will give them $1,000 cash. If somebody can prove me wrong on my blueprint, I will send you $1,000 cash app right now or at any time. We can go live, and if you can prove me wrong that the path is math, I will cash app you $1,000. So go to getmyfirstproperty.com. I'll see you on my webinar tomorrow. And for the rest of y'all already know, I'll see y'all at the top. Let's go.